To explain the differences in these display types, we must first understand that every TV screen is made of tiny particles called pixels. These pixels combine the three primary colors to form other colors including black and white, and the pixels together form the images you see on the screen. Tiny as these pixels are, you can still view them with the naked eye by carefully placing a drop of water on the screen surface. The number of pixels a screen has is what determines the screen resolution, talking about 1080 pixels, 4K, 8K, etc. And the tinier they are, the clearer the image produced. So when we talk about display type in a television, we're talking about the different ways in which these pixels can be formed and lighted up using a bunch of software and hardware improvements. First, we had the CRT TVs, that's cathode ray tube TV, which involved using cathode ray to operate and light up these pixels, but they had issues with size, heat, and power consumption. Then we had projection TVs, which still had the size problem, even though they meant screens could have a flat surface. Then came the implementation of LCD in TVs, and here is where the diversity and confusion starts. LCD means liquid crystal display, and you'd know an LCD TV by applying slight pressure on the screen surface. A little ink cluster would be formed here. That's an LCD TV. LCDs use this substance to combine the colors formed in each pixels on the screen, and how the screen is lighted up makes all the differences in TV types. A plasma TV uses fluorescent lighting to hide. Although this is a good improvement from previous designs, the fluorescent lighting still wasn't power efficient enough, so the use of LEDs, which is light emitting diode, was introduced. Whenever you see just LED on a TV product, know that it's just an LCD TV, and the LED is just used as a light source for the LCD display. So the only advantage you may have over a plasma TV user is power efficiency and a reasonable amount of flatness. You'd also get good, bright, colorful display, better than a plasma LCD TV. An LED TV, which actually is an LCD TV, can exist in different forms depending on the arrangement of the LED light bulbs around or behind the LCD TV. These different arrangements are what gave birth to ULED, QLED, Nanocell, and LED TVs. OLED, on the other hand, is a different innovation and is an improvement from all LCD-based screen types. OLED means organic light emitting diode. That means LED bulbs are not just used as a source of light for the pixels, but the LEDs are used as the pixel itself, being able to produce all three primary colors and combine them to form other colors as light. That means in order to produce black, the pixels, which are LED bulbs themselves, can simply go off, and this is known as true black. This is also the reason why OLEDs are the most power efficient TVs available in the market, because the more blacks present on your screen, the more pixels that are turned off, the more energy you save. The fact that OLEDs could control and turn pixels off and produce true black, it gave rise to better and more realistic image quality, as well as wider viewing angles, little or no screen glare, and less eye fatigue. This gave rise to the emergence of what I call false LEDs. In order to achieve the OLED-like results such as true black, manufacturers decided to use multiple LED light bulbs spread behind the LCD screen, so they dim the parts of the screen where blacks are present and try to produce true black images. This way, with the aid of software, the screen lights in different areas of the screen can be controlled individually according to color displayed. This way, they were able to produce better, brighter images with clearer pictures, better viewing angle, and less eye fatigue. This is known as local dimming. QLED, ULED, nanocells all function based on this principle. So what exactly are the major differences? QLED comes with a layer of nanocrystals, or what Samsung calls quantum dots. Well, that's what they called it. That enhances both color and contrast of the screen, thus the name QLED. Because of the quantum dots, the dotted layer can allow the LED lights to have accurate and more precise lighting and dimming, giving brighter pictures with better contrast. You'd find this in Samsung, TCL, Hisense, and other TVs. ULED, on the other hand, that's Ultra LED, has at least 4K resolution and upwards, with some special patterns in local dimming and color gamut. So ULED is basically QLED with some special patterns from Hisense in the way that it achieves its own local dimming. The U9DG ULED TV, for instance, has over 2 million local dimming zones, and others have 32 to 360, which is the number of LEDs that are placed behind the LCD display. Nanocell, on the other hand, does basically the same thing with QLED and ULED when it comes to LCD backlighting. Also, they use IPS panel to achieve wide viewing angle, whereas QLED and ULED uses VA panel, which produces better contrast ratio. So, which is better? In order to know which is better, we'll be comparing based on cost, contrast, brightness, viewing angle, eye fatigue, power consumption, slickness, and defects. But before we continue, hit the subscribe button so you can benefit from our helpful device reviews and recommendations, and also check the video description for links to the devices we recommend based on performance and good user feedbacks. And let's not forget the links also give you a discount courtesy of Hardware House. So let's look at cost. If you're looking at the plain LED TV, that means you're still looking at 32 inches, or perhaps if you're lucky, 42 inches TV. But beyond that, when it comes to cost, the QLED and ULED are usually the most affordable compared to OLED. OLEDs are expensive, but they're definitely worth the money. Nevertheless, for a basic user, you don't necessarily need an OLED, because QLED and ULED, as well as nanocells, can deliver a similar experience. LEDs are clearly the winner here, because they are very affordable, but since they are not available in most screen sizes, especially the larger screen sizes, I would give that to the QLED and the ULED. Next is contrast. Contrast is the color difference between a brighter color and a darker color in the screen. This makes it easy for a TV to still be visible and colorful in a very bright environment. With the help of local dimming of bright LED bulbs, the LED backlit LCD TVs do a great job in varying colors and producing vibrant images. Well, except for the normal LEDs, but since OLED lights up its own pixels individually, it can easily produce brighter contrast. So OLED has this one, followed by QLED, nanocell, and ULED. Then we have the normal LEDs occupying the last position here. In terms of brightness, QLED is king. Since the light is coming from an entirely different source, it's quite easy to crank up the brightness to high levels, and the same goes for ULED and LG nanocell TVs. Although OLEDs produce better contrast and color, but when it comes to brightness, there is a carefulness on how far you want to crank up those LED pixels. Don't get me wrong, OLEDs are very bright and brighter than base LED TVs, but not just as bright as the QLEDs and ULEDs. So the QLEDs and ULEDs have it. So if you have a really bright living room or a room with lots of light, you might not want to invest so much money on OLED TVs and not be satisfied. So go for QLED, ULED, or nanocell TV. When it comes to viewing angle, OLED produces less variations. But first of all, what is a viewing angle anyway? So remember those days when LCDs were in vogue? So if you're looking at a laptop screen from an angle, the display tends to appear sort of gray. And if there are images of people on the screen, they sort of appear like shadows and zombies. If you're viewing from the opposite angle, some people on the screen might appear like angels. But the closer you get to the viewing angle of 0 degree, that's you're facing the screen directly, that's when you get the clear picture. While viewing angle is the maximum angle you can view a screen from before the images on display starts appearing fuzzy. OLED gives the widest viewing angle because the pixels are basically combining light, not a bunch of ink-like crystals like an LCD-based screen. QLED, ULED, and nanocells also offer wide viewing angles because of the implementation of local dimming, but don't get it twisted, OLED is king of angles. Ordinary LED TVs also offer wide angles, but compared to these other guys, they're the least preferred here. So if you have a wide living room where a large family comes to watch TV every now and then, and you have a good budget, also consider that the living room isn't much flooded with window light, OLED will serve you well. But if your budget is a bit on the lower side, QLED, ULED and Nanocell will also give you good results and make you spend less. Next, we'll be looking at eye fatigue. Eye fatigue is that horrible aching feeling you get in your eyes and your head after watching TV for a long period of time. Here, OLED is also a winner because the light from each pixel is controlled individually. OLED is easier on your eyes. QLED, ULED and Nanocell TVs also reduces eye fatigue with local dimming feature, but just not as good as OLED. So what the OLED loses in brightness, it gains in less eye fatigue. And like you've already guessed, the base LEDs are the least performing in this aspect. So if you're the type that watches TV for a long time or a gaming person, you need an OLED TV. In terms of power consumption, we're talking about how much electricity bill you get to pay by the end of the month because of your TV type. Remember, OLED doesn't have all its pixels light up all the time, and depending on what kind of colors are on the display, OLED can save a lot of energy. QLED, ULED and nanocells can also save energy depending on the number of backlit LEDs. The local dimming feature also save a lot of energy, whereas the base LEDs will constantly draw power for the backlit because there's no local dimming. OLEDs are clearly the winner here, so it can be said that OLED gets cheaper the longer you use it, since the cost of the TV would reduce the cost of your electricity bill continuously. Anyway, don't expect it to save you as much money as the others, cause the price difference between OLED and the other TVs can be quite high. Next is slickness. This is how thin a TV can get in terms of thickness. ULED and nanocells involves the use of separate layers for light and displays, so the backlit panel has to fit in together with other panel layers, while the OLED panel just requires one unit for light and color. So it's common sense that OLED TVs would always be thinner than other type of TVs that are based on LCD backlit. When it comes to defects, we're talking about the things that can possibly go wrong with these display types. There is every tendency that if a particular set of colors are displayed for a really long amount of time, it could burn into the display. This is referred to as burn in. So you can have a logo of your favorite TV program permanently showing on your TV, which can be really annoying. This isn't the case for the LCD based TVs, but according to user feedback, some LCD based TVs reaches a point in their lifespan where they begin to display green lines on the screen. This can also be an annoying development. Nevertheless, the line defects on ULED, QLED, nanocell and LEDs are quite rare compared to the frequency of burn-ins in OLED TVs. And it's way cheaper replacing a damaged LCD screen than an entire OLED panel. So the LCD guys have it. If you need a TV for an office reception, restaurant menu display, or computer monitor display, avoid OLED, or your start menu logo might just burn in. I'll also be adding some links on the description for TVs I would recommend for each display type based on research and user feedback. So now that you know what to expect from each of these TV types, you can avoid mistakes. Subscribe for more helpful tips, product reviews and recommendations. It's your free device consultant, Justin. Bye bye.